welcome to Whiskey Watches and Wheels, the number one podcast in Hope You Like It, Georgia. So Matt is not with us today. He's in Vegas. I don't know, probably with a bunch of hookers. Oh, working. Okay.
Hookers and blow.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Casey.
I'm James.
And I'm Aaron.
Yeah, so we have a special guest today. We have one of the, I guess, other half, P-Car Talk, who has had a great long, how many years has it been that you guys been doing this?
5 years. I had to look it up for some reason, but yeah, 5.
Yeah, so they do a podcast on all the media platforms, and they talk nothing but Porsches.
Yeah, that's us. If it's Porsche, we talk about it. Even the more stuff.
Yes.
It's also pretty cool that our first official guest is from P-Car Talk that put us together on the rally.
The Genesis.
Yes. Yeah. So from one of the other episodes, that's how we all met. We, all four of us met, including Aaron, but from a ride called Farron that they do every year. And this is going to be their fourth year, I believe, or fifth year, Aaron?
Fourth
year.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, Kevin, myself, Casey, James, and Matt, we were on a run group together. And that's how our relationship blossomed, as they say.
They've stuck together ever since. And they continue to stick together. It's always a text. Hey, put us in the same run group. Thanks.
Yep. Balls to butts.
Exactly. So we'll kind of get a dive in. We're happy to have Aaron on because they talk a lot about Porsches. And the first subject, well, you know what? I'm new to this, guy. So let's do our watch check. So who wants to go first?
I can jump in since I got a repeat.
Since Casey always goes first.
Is that right? Do I always go first?
Pretty much.
Go first. I'm the best. But this is Seiko 1999. This is the one I got from Australia, the 033, I believe, the Pepsi.
That's cool.
One of my favorites just because it's you can go desk diving with it and it doesn't matter if it gets hit and beat up. I like it.
James?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I have, since last episode we talked about Swatch Moonwatch, I have a Swatch Mission on Earth watch. I bought this watch, I don't know, I want to say a year ago when it first came out to kind of flip, to be honest with you. And it's a piece of shit Swatch. So I was talking. So from last time I was talking about wearing. So from the 90s and 80s, we all wore Swatches and stuff. I remember the lume on a Swatch being very, very good. This is junk.
That was one of the big draws.
It was. And being super waterproof. I have not tested it out to be waterproof, but it has that Velcro strap. So I'm probably, if I take it in the water, it's probably going to stink. But I decided after talking on the podcast how I don't wear a lot of watches because on a Wednesday, it's beating them up. And I was looking at all my watches on top of, hey, trying to have a new watch every time. I said, you know what? Let me open up the box, put this thing on. So I've been wearing it for a week now. It is comfortable. I do like the band. But it's a piece of junk. Like, honestly, I think the 90s watches were better quality than this. And for the Moon watch that they're coming out with, and I've heard speculation they may be coming out with the black Snoopy, which will probably be more popular than the white one.
Which I will not purchase.
No. And after wearing this one, I mean, the face feels chunk. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. So I wore it today, and I will continue to wear it until it dies. Yeah, this is probably going to be the watch that's going to be scratched up. Do you remember the rubber bands that we had on Swatches too? The little bumpers? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
That has the Velcro strap, and a lot of mine don't have Velcro strap, but my Apple Watch has the Velcro strap, and I really like it on a daily watch. I think it's very comfy.
I do wonder if you had a fat wrist because it already has a bend built into it already from being in, I guess, in the package. So I wonder if you had to rebend it somewhere, if it would bother you. But it fits me perfect where the bend was. James, what are you wearing?
Guess what I'm wearing? Could be
Seiko.
Seiko. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm wearing a
Ooh.
Seiko here, 6119-8273, automatic day date from 1972. Nice, simple watch with a very bright blue face, which I like. It's on a black leather strap, and it's just super nice and clean. So that's really it.
Yeah, I like it. Basic, good. I like it.
And Aaron?
You can see
All
that
right,
blue
Inspector
kind of
Lucas.
pops.
Yeah, it's your
Yeah.
turn.
So got the old BRM. It's a Nürburgring edition, anniversary edition. It's 2017. There's 90 pieces made. They'll do different custom things. I got number 20 for the kilometers
Nice.
on the track. So
Nice.
Okay. All right. And what's everyone drinking today?
I've got some Green River and ginger ale. Green River out of Paducah, Kentucky. Bardstown Bourbon Company owns them. Great everyday drinker, like $35 for a bottle. It's fantastic. If you see it in the store, I think you should pick it up. It's a good daily drinker from Bardstown. It's good stuff.
And what's the proof on that?
To be completely honest, I don't know. It drinks like it's 90s, mid 90s, low 90s.
I'm not drinking anything today.
Really?
No, I
Not a
had
thing.
I had 3 Red Bulls. So
Oh, gosh.
here is the stuff.
So
I'm hyped.
we're going to
up.
pack a lot in.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't need anything else. So
All
nothing
right.
for me, James.
All right. I'm drinking Three Swallows Irish whiskey. So I've had that before, and I just kicked the bottle and tossed the bottle, so I can't give you anything else on it.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I'm doing Kentucky Owl.
There you go.
Some special edition. Looks like, let's get it.
Yeah, the Takumi. That's Deadman Dixon or Dixon Deadman. Whatever, I can't remember which way his name goes, but he was in charge of that. Brought that back from the dead because it was a dead label for a long time, and he brought that back. Now he's doing XO bourbon. So if you see that XO, that's Deadman Dixon. I haven't tried it yet, but if he can do anything with that new brand like he's done with Kentucky Owl, I'd say it's hella good. So good choice.
nice.
Delicious.
Any notes to share on that?
I don't
Aaron?
have. I don't
Here's
have
David
a
just
bottle.
going
Not, not quite.
Yeah, I don't have a bottle of that Takume, the red label, so I can't tell you.
I've got this one in a blue label, and I have no idea what the blue label's called. It's like Magist or something along those lines.
I haven't seen that one. I don't know that one.
It's a liquor store at Daytona. They
Interesting.
they seem to carry weird stuff. So
Interesting.
if you're there, Rolex, walk across the street.
Yeah. So today, KC and James both sent us a text message. As you guys know, we have a group text. And I know this is kind of old news. This is from February 26th, but it's new to us because we're not Porsche, like everything Porsche.
Okay.
That's where Aaron kind of comes in. So Porsche suing Singer. Case number 12024 CV00253. And I did a little bit of digging. They are suing them on words, letters, numbers, in stylized form in the typeset, which is, I'm going to share some of the what they're actually doing here. So let's see here. Let's see if I can make this work here. So this is one of them. It says Porsche. You guys see the 911 too? Or no?
No,
Yeah,
it
just
won't.
Porsche.
It won't change tabs. It won't change tabs for you.
Okay, so I'll stop this here. And let's see here. So the 911, it shares, or suing them on that, suing them on the crest, and also,
The
What you guys don't
Singer
know.
uses the crest. I haven't seen that.
so that's that's where I looked up all of the um, trademarks that they mentioned in the suit, and it's 911, Porsche, and the crest. So the one thing that, and maybe James, you can talk about this, since you work for a company, can a company own a typeset or a font?
Yes, if it's custom made for themselves.
Okay.
So many companies do that, and we have to deal with that quite a bit.
Can you tell what is a type font that we would like recognize that is totally done?
Porsche actually uses their type font, say for instance Carrera with a C and that cursive. That font is not.
Yeah. Many large corporations have their own fonts, say like HP or say YouTube. YouTube has specific fonts that's created just for them.
Okay, but all right. So the Carrera just looks like it's cursive, right? So I can go on a Word document and
it's calligraphy.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay.
It's their own. So I have a graphic designer that works for me. I've had people that have wanted this style font, and each letter he's had to draw that font and then combine it. Now, that's where the lawsuit comes in, because when I looked at everything, and I'm not an attorney at all, but I do have trademarks myself on fonts and on slogans. So when you do this, and Porsche has spent the money, anytime you trademark something, you have to trademark it for shirts, cars. Like there's a number of different things that you have to file under. So, and they have done that. I mean, they've done.
And that includes digital as well.
Yes. So, and it costs money for each one of those, I guess, codes that you put in. But I was trying to dig, and when I looked at their patent, it just says 911, Porsche, and the crest. It doesn't say that. I cannot find a font or a trademark on their particular font or their typeset or anything like that. So are they trying to sue them because they're using Singer in that font?
So
Casey?
I found this on Reddit, where I find a lot of this stuff, and there's some smart people on there, and this one guy
and it's all true.
Well, this guy pulls some of the language out of this, that it says that Singer started to, what Porsche is claiming is to create confusion in the marketplace by using a donor 911 as the starting point. Singer so drastically deconstructs and modifies the donor vehicle so that it simply is no longer a Porsche vehicle, but retains the trademarks of the VIN number, the Porsche crest, and the Carrera, the script.
Okay, so let me stop you there. They have already been sued for that. So that is an old. So they used to do Singer or Porsche, Singer by Porsche, whatever. That has changed. Now that's why. So if you look at that Reddit article, that's probably from a while ago. So Aaron, I know that you guys touched on this too. They lost that suit, and that's why
5 hours ago.
So that case is not this case. That case was how many years ago, Aaron?
Quite a while. At least when we started podcasting.
And that's why it's called Singer now. It used to be called, wasn't it Reimagine?
Reimagine by Singer is what they actually had to go to. And then they had to go to a smaller font. But I was under the impression this suit was closed suit. Like they weren't showing really what they were going after.
It
is.
Okay.
This guy has a Pacer account, whatever the hell that is, but it has the unredacted lawsuit.
Oh, nice. Well, so it's also weird though, guys, because they're on their probably 300th car. Like they've already been down this for how long? 10 years, 15 years is how long Singer's been a thing. And they're just now coming after them for this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the Singer part, the Singer logo, that's not. How is it that because it's
I think
it's not
Singer
the Porsche script. It's not Porsche script.
Okay, so from what I was reading, I think that's what they're going after, because we don't see 911 on their cars anymore. We don't see the crest on their car.
You see Porsche on it. all over it.
Yeah,
It's on the
they
side of the
clear coat
doors.
the
It's on
script
the
now.
right. It's on the back of the ducktail, etc.
So that's maybe why they're suing them now, is because they're using their car, even though it's reimagined, and they are taking this to trial, which this could be case law, which, I mean, I believe, hey, Gunther Works, Theon Design, and a number of other people, if this loses, if Porsche loses this, it may open up, which, I
Well,
mean, go ahead, James.
I think that's the key. It's not so much stopping Singer as it is stopping everybody else
So
infringing.
does this also?
We know plenty of people, though, but we know plenty of people that have received the cease and desist by using the Porsche name.
Does this
Plenty.
also play into people doing modifications in general? Does you know how they're like John Deere had that big lawsuit about being able to work on your own tractor, etc. Does it play into having when you buy these vehicles that you're not allowed to modify? What was that?
No,
Apple
that's the
thing?
Magnuson Moss. That's the Magnuson Moss Warranty Act. That I don't think that plays into that as well.
Okay.
And having a shop, that's a whole different. Unless the dealership provides you with the parts and stuff, they can't do that. I think
Okay.
this. And Aaron, did you guys touch base on this? What
We
did you
did.
guys talk about?
Well, we thought we were proposing that it has to do with them going IPO. And then now that they've got a board and probably a new set of lawyers and the family not going, well, yeah, you can do that. We're cool. That they're going to be more corporate about it and go after anything that's their IP, no matter who it is. Plus, the dollar figure is also something. These cars went from $750, and now they're at, million plus, 2 million plus. So they've probably made $300 million probably by now, easily.
So who's going public? Singer's going public, or
no? Porsche's gone public.
Porsche.
So they've had their
Well,
stock for a year now or so.
Yes, I own some. Yes.
So is, for the listeners out there, I know Porsche went public on the German stock market.
Mm.
So now they're going public in the American, Porta North America is going public?
No, I'm just saying they just went public. They IPO'd in general. Just even in being in Europe, it's still a different step than just the family owning it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But that was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That happened?
Yeah.
Well, lawyers could be slow. Who knows?
Could this also, you know how Porsche has the
classic center?
The classic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. The classic thing. Do you, even though they don't do anything remotely close to the power adds, the suspension changes, they're just like
Restoration.
restoring these cars.
I did see that, and a lot of people are speculating that they may be getting into the resto mod. So, Aaron, what do you think?
I think they are, because we talked about one guy in Miami has got a 4.0 that he's having redone, and that 4.0 is going to cost. So it's a 997 3RS 4-liter. That's going to cost $1 million for that nuts and bolts restore.
Holy
just like
mother.
Casey's.
But it's not. But that's a restoration. That's not a resto mod.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a full restoration, but I guess you could count that. I don't know what they would do for resto mods, though.
So my question is, did the 997.2? Porsche didn't make that a 4.0. So
Yeah, they did. They had a 4.0. It was a small run, and they're $700,000 right now.
What was it called?
It was a 3RS 4.0.
Okay, I didn't know that. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's why we have Aaron. This is the guru of Porsches. Knows all paint codes and.
Yeah. So those cars base are going $700-800 right now in the market, Casey.
Nice.
That's why I don't know.
If it's tied to the stock market or going public, that's one thing. But is it also to protect the competition going forward, to limit that to, say, the Singers and the Gunther Works and just a few others, as opposed to having dozens and dozens of them? Because there's a lot of shops out there that are selling the Singer-like customization.
Well, my thing is why is Porsche being this type of company? Because let's face it, there's a lot of companies that do Chevys, Corvettes. They do, Year One's a huge company. LMC's another huge company that repops. panels. They do. There's a lot of companies that do this for the American car market, and you never see any of that. Whereas when it comes to Porsches, we're seeing this, that they're like, no, you can't make any money with our cars.
I agree with that. And why would you do that? When I think, from my perspective, it grows the, say, the younger base, the younger audience, when you see these resto mods, and then you can aspire to go pick up, you know, a new Porsche or whatever. So why, I agree with you 100%. Why would you want to limit this aftermarket excitement when it just further improves your brand name, I think?
Yeah, well, we see. Go ahead, James.
They're not getting paid.
Well, but none of any of these other companies. And then the other thing too is, I mean, we know that there's been tons of letters sent out to companies for skateboards, for this, for that, just which I understand using IP and stuff, but you don't hear about it. And I'm in all types of other facets of motor vehicles. I mean, the only time that this has really hit hard was the bar and shield logo of Harley Davidson. But that's the only other company I've actually heard of. And like I said, there's so many Corvette, Ford GT, GT40. What's that one car that was in Gone in 60 Seconds? Eleanor.
Yeah, Eleanor.
I mean, so many companies.
That was a huge lawsuit too, though. That was a massive deal. Yeah.
So I think they're just, I don't know. To me, in my opinion, they're acting kind of snobbish about the whole thing, and
let's not forget that since the IPO, Porsche has essentially sold out its brand name in a lot of ways, doing paint colors. We were talking earlier today about the Porsche design bullshit clothing that was just fucking awful. Like, they are doing similar things and putting their names on a lot of different things that, at least in our opinion, I think you all would agree, that does not help their brand name, like a paint and, you know, awful clothing items. So I would argue that things like Singer, Gunther Works, etc., help and enhance the brand name, where some of the stuff they're doing internally is not doing that for them.
Yeah, and Aaron, just to let you know, normally I'm in your spot, and I do quite a bit of talking, and so you're gonna have to jump in.
I wanted people to finish.
Oh, it doesn't affect us. I mean, we just keep on going. So
yeah, we just steamroll over everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so right at home. Good.
What's your take on this? I mean, I know you talked a little bit about the IPO.
We did. It is a weird thing. It's a better marketing situation, in my opinion. I agree with that. I also agree with them getting their name out everywhere. Kind of doesn't make sense to us as car people, but it does make sense to them as just a general market, because like anything, as long as it's a quality product, then you're like, okay, I do like this paint. Who made this? Porsche. Don't know much about it. Let me go figure it out. You know, it kind of leads that way. Not that saying that it's actually going to work, but I mean, I know that that's the idea behind it. But
yeah, speaking of a quality product, here's some of the shit that they're putting out.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, more power to them.
But that's Puma. So I know Puma that is ugly.
This is this is a partnership with Puma, but this is directly taken from the Porsche design website.
Yeah. Oh, and that's fucking awful.
Okay.
That link I shared, that does not send you to Puma's site. This sends you to Porsche design.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
So I did look up, the attorney, she's representing, she works for a law firm. She's been with the company for 2 years. You know, there's other aspects of it. She could be making a name for herself, proving her title. Who knows? Again, that's all speculation. But I think, in my opinion, it's just ridiculous. And I think that they should cherish or relish the fact that people are doing things with a car. And let's face it, making them better. They're not the be-all, say-all of cars. I just don't get it. So
the only other thing that could be happening would be maybe people are not getting allocations for something and then going that direction. Like, well, if I can't have this, I'll just go spend $1 million here and get this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but are there any
yeah, but it's
allocated
unique,
cars that
too.
are $1 million? I mean, the most expensive car is probably the GT3 RS, and they're we'll say $420,000
Yeah, that's true.
with ADM. So that's that. I don't even think that the person that's buying a Singer car is even. They probably already have whatever allocation they want to begin with.
Yes.
It's that
And-
they're not taking myself or James going, oh, I was going to buy a GT3 RS, but now I'm going to buy a Singer. I mean, it's not going to.
And we know via just through like Instagram, take Andrew Koblitz, right? He's got a Singer. He also has a Carrera GT. You know, these guys, as you're saying, if they're in the market for a Singer, they've got other allocated Porsches in the stable. I don't know that any Singer owner is not purchasing an allocated vehicle because they bought a Singer.
Which kind of this whole topic too is a great segue into our next topic, which we talk about allocations, vehicles being hard to find. Now with the Baltimore bridge failure, James, you lead this subject. What do they talk about?
I didn't do the research. I just give you the topics.
Oh, okay. So,
Well, no, really what it came down to is since that bridge happened, it's a main artery for delivery of overseas produced cars.
Mainly European,
right?
But yeah.
So
and it's the fifth biggest port, I think it is, for automobiles. I think so.
I think it's the number one port for automobiles coming into America. So I know that that's going to be a big disruptor. And, we've been through the pandemic as far as the getting parts and chips and such. So will that now affect the new car prices as well as used car prices? But just to add one note, I know that they did open up a single lane yesterday to start getting additional.
On that same bridge.
Yes, they have an alternate route now to get in there. So they've opened up one and they're planning to open up, I think, 2 additional ones around it as they start to try to clear that stuff. So
the whole bridge fell, though, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay.
So according to the Car and Driver article, Baltimore's the number one automotive port in the U.S. According to Automotive News, listen to these. I mean, it's nearly everything. Audi, Bentley, Ford, GM, Jag, Rover, Lambo, Mazda, Mercedes, Nissan, Subaru, Toyota, Volvo all depend on Baltimore for car shipments and part shipments. So
yeah,
that's
not all premium brands either.
Correct.
No, but that's also going to Europe because their cars are coming from Canada and Mexico. So then they're going to Europe. But the good thing for us is that car prices are going down, and I'm not seeing a lot of people with money buying. That's one of the things that we talked about is the car market's pretty soft right now with, a lot of dealerships are discounting now because nobody has any money.
How is that with the Porsche? I just did a search today for Macan GTS, and it's almost impossible to find a certified used one under $100,000.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But the GTS, though, we know that those GTS, whatever model you choose from, those GTS always hold value, and people tend, on average, to hang on to those models.
Yeah, I looked a week ago, and there was a good bit that were under 100, but apparently they sold this weekend. Because I just did a search.
It's Easter. The Lord has risen. Yes. Go buy a Porsche.
Aaron, what's your take on it?
That's where all the stuff comes in. They normally, for Europe, everything goes out of like Bremerhaven, from what I know, from Germany, and then they all go to Baltimore because that's where our cars shipped out from when we had to ship it to Germany. So I don't know that. Obviously, it's going to cause slowing. I don't know that's going to really help our car market that's in a slump. I don't see it going anywhere, but except for Porsche. Porsche does seem to be a unique snowflake in this instance. There's just stuff here. And it costs more for no reason.
Exactly.
Well, and once they clean up the mess, the port itself should open back up, regardless of construction, right? Because the channel is just a portion of the bridge area. So once those things start getting worked on, they'll work on one segment, and the port aspect, probably the middle part, probably won't be down for very long.
Yeah.
But we know if you looked at the pictures, I mean, there were cargo ships for, over the sight line, right? So right. It has been a disturbance, but probably not ultimately for very long.
Yeah, and we're taking the car angle here, but obviously it was a tragedy and people lost their lives, and it's a terrible situation. But ultimately, it kind of steamrolls into other parts of the economy.
Yeah, because it's not just cars that are coming over that, as there's other products that are coming in, to the United States as well. So we just wanted to touch base on that a little bit. And so I think Casey or somebody else said Porsche says this next hypercar needs all-wheel drive. Here's why. Aaron, do you know anything about this hypercar?
I know that it's going to be electric. That's about what I know. The concept car that they released earlier, that's what they're speculating it's going to be. It's going to run that see-through glass back where you can see the motor. That's called the E-Core. It's going to have like 1,000 horsepower or something like that.
Looks sharp.
It's supposed to be pretty crazy.
It's going to be a hybrid, or is it going to be electric?
Fully electric. It wouldn't be a hybrid because they have to have a flagship for their EVs.
Okay.
That's the believable thing. I mean, because they have the 918. Otherwise, it'd be cool if they were going to do like a petrol-powered one or hybrid, but I don't think they will. I think it's going to be full EV.
God, I hope they don't do this. I hope they don't do this yoke steering wheel. That's awful.
Well, it has been that's what Tesla did, so follow suit with everybody else.
So the leather will peel off shortly.
Well, that's like, if it's vegetable leather or whatever, vegan leather, that's what it is, right?
Yeah. Now, we were talking about all electric cars. We touched base on this as well. With electric cars now, there's basically talking about tires or being like the new oil changes.
Right.
James and I have both purchased new tires for a rally that we're going on, and I spent over $1,000 on a set of tires.
I did not.
Well, I don't.
Damn it, James! Go fall in line here.
What do you spend? $900? You spent $900?
$999.
Yeah, exactly. So I had a theory on this. You're putting a car tires on a car that's close to 6,000 pounds, like 5,500. I have a van and I have an SUV that the tires are rated for their heavy multi-ply tires. You're putting regular car tires on these electric vehicles, so they're naturally going to wear a lot
quicker,
faster. What are people putting tires? 10,000 miles?
They're saying that they're lucky to get 10,000 miles.
Oh, really? Okay.
I guess it's all that extra weight, and it's something that they weren't planning on, especially if you daily this. Typically people aren't doing long commutes with these cars, but
it's true.
If you drive it anything spirited within that weight on car tires, it's going to take a toll, right?
Yeah, and especially if you're doing these 0 to 60 pulls.
Well, that's true.
That's going to be, and the other thing too is, I don't know if you guys have ridden on those tires that are heavy ply, but they're quite noisy. Like my van, it's my 4Runner. Now the 4Runner does have knobby tires on there. Casey, you have a Cayenne, so do you, Aaron. Are your tires pretty loud?
No, I'm in the market for tires. I've got to replace mine. I'll pull them up here. These are the tires that I've purchased previously, and we'll do it again. The Michelin all season Fords. But you can see that $430 a tire, $1,700 for the set on the Cayenne. I currently have about 80,000 miles on my Cayenne tires. The insides get cupped, and Of course, they get loud and super annoying. But if I had to buy these at 30,000 miles or 60,000 miles, I mean, that's a lot of extra dollars. You know, most people are putting what, 25, 30,000 miles on a car each year now. Isn't that roughly the average?
Yeah.
So, you know, I do this.
25,000 miles a year? No,
Yeah.
the average has always been 10 to 12.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I put about 60,000 miles a year on my car.
Yeah, and
so
you're definitely an outlier, Casey.
I'm definitely skewed, but I expect, but just imagine these at least have lasted 80 or 85. So just imagine though, if I had to replace these every 15, 20,000 miles, if I had an EV, the cost of that is astronomical. I mean, I think $2,000 for tires is ridiculous anyway, but that's what they cost. I mean, it is what it is. But if you have to replace them more often, I mean, that just is wild.
Yeah.
And they're going to be specialty tires too for a lot of these, at least the hypercars and everything else like this can be purposely built for that. If you want to learn more about the car that Porsche is probably going to buy or build, it's the Rimac Nevera is what it's based off of. And it looks pretty much like the car except for without the concept.
How do you spell that?
Nevera and then Rimac.
Interesting.
Doesn't Porsche own a piece
of
them?
Yeah. They do. That's why it'd be based on it.
Nice. Well,
yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit today in regards to the lawsuit, how Porsche owns what percent, Aaron, of Manti?
51%.
Now
they're majority or something. Yeah.
We found out that they do not own Roof.
No, Roof is their own thing, but the Roof has worked out some deal where they could vend themselves. So
they're like historical family friends, are they not? Like they're right down the road. From my understanding,
they're not right down the road. They're a few hours away, but yeah,
okay. That's right down the road for me.
Roof is registered as an automaker, manufacturer.
Yeah.
So I don't think Singer is registered.
Yeah, that's a totally different game from that perspective when you can revend the car because you put stuff on it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
As long as it's their amount of parts and done by them, it's not like if you have wheels from them and stuff like that. Like you have to send it to them. They put on their package and then they'll rebadge it as that. That's when you see like Turbo R or some other that 996 that probably everybody saw go for sale. That was a Turbo R roof car that went for $441,000. That was why, because it was one of one that they built, and then it goes as a revend to Roof versus just a regular 996.
Interesting.
But they are still using the same kind of typeset as Porsche too.
That's true. Yeah. But that I think goes to the handshake deal that they have, according to the documentary that I've seen on it.
Yeah. And I guess that's the difference between living next to your neighbor and living across the pond.
Stateside. Yeah.
So Singer needs to know the secret handshake with Porsche, and everything will be all smoothed out.
That's right. Speaking of other Porsche things, I sent you all the new concept SUV. It looks great.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. It. I don't know, man. Let me try to pull this.
Aaron,
up.
have you guys talked about this on P-Car Talk?
I got it. I've seen it. Is it the 3-row one?
The Prestige, apparently.
That's what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah. It looks funky because the hood looks like it's popped up, which is weird, and the painted headlight really skews things. But
but also if you zoom in, you'll see that the doors have some padding on them as well. So I don't know if I'd call this ugly at this point, based on not seeing it.
Isn't it just a slightly different Cayenne? I mean,
it almost looks like a Sport Turismo. Look to it.
But this is beefier, right? So this is going to be their biggest SUV, correct?
So more than Turbo S.
But no, as far as
it's supposed to be an
XL,
that's what it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a 3-row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a 3-row?
That's what I was. The big one that they're coming out with is going to be 3-row. Yeah.
Dude,
and if it's electric, it'll make sense because it'll be flat. There's no tunnel or anything like that. So
that's true.
Right. But look at that back door, Casey. It's pretty large compared to the front door.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's just a bit extended.
Yeah, it is hard to see because they're trying to make this look like a Cayenne with the painted headlights and stuff. But if it's 3-row and it's extended, I mean that'll be interesting.
So I'm going to hold judgment as far as what it looks like until we actually really see it.
It's going to look like a Taycan, but in a Cayenne body.
That could be
Because it's design language.
Yeah.
Oh, think you can think about how the Macan EV looks and just stretch it out.
It becomes
the
skateboard theory, right? The Taycan, Macan, all on the same platform. But I keep, with Porsche, I always go back to thinking that Porsche tends to give us what we want before we know we want it, kind of like Apple. And I don't know if this is going to fulfill that, but they usually put out bangers. So
yeah, that's going to be for the Chinese market and stuff like that. The more people like to be driven type areas versus like the soccer mom needing a van, but now she's got a EV.
Yeah,
a $200,000.
Well, just like the Panamera, right? I mean that's huge in China, is it not?
Yeah, the bigger, it is.
So I want one as well.
And that's good. There's no talk about the motor size or anything like that on this car?
Not that I've seen. I would imagine if it's that, it's probably 600 horsepower, somewhere around there, being that big, maybe more.
And it is going to be an EV car.
Yeah. It's got the headlights. All those headlights for that design language. It's an EV for sure.
Okay. Yeah, because we were talking about them maybe trying to go after, like a Urus Lamborghini style market, some of the high end Bentley market, because Porsche really doesn't have anything like that. That's an ultra high end.
The Turbo GT, the Cayenne Turbo GT would be against the Urus.
But we're talking price point. That's what I was more talking about, because how much is the Urus?
It's like 300 the Urus is like 4 something, and then I thought the Turbo GT is close to 3. But yeah, maybe. It's more exclusive though, I think. The Turbo GT is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that Ferrari SUV is going to be more exclusive.
Oh yeah. So Ferrari's crazy. Ferrari's got the same stuff, same special wishes, just like Porsche does, except like it gets just ridiculous expensive.
Yeah, I saw the SUV last week in person, and
you have pictures to pull up?
They were talking about it being in the 600K range. I don't have the best pictures, but I got a picture here. So this was out on an event, and they had one for everybody to see.
And that looks like more of a station wagon.
It does.
Which is what that Cayenne looked like.
Yeah.
That looks, and they have already had that with their long front engine. I don't know if it was the California.
That's the FF.
Okay. Yeah. That's what it just looks like.
It is curious.
Well, it's a consistent design language. There's no doubt about it. Right. So it's not like it's a surprise. If you didn't see the badge, you could look at this and say it's a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
But they could make it a high roofline, because if you look at that roofline, that looks like, to me, I don't know, a clown shoe BMW.
It looks like an i8 in the front.
Okay, but would Ferrari be embarrassed actually having a real SUV with the tall height?
I think so.
I would be.
Yes.
But do they even really want to be producing this if it's costing $600K a pop? Or are they just getting in it to say they did it?
We don't want to do it price.
Right, exactly.
We built 10 of them. Congratulations.
There you go. Well, and I sent you all the article just for Matt's sake, even though he's not here, about the I can't find it here real quick. The hot hatches selling better than anything else, and that, you could argue, is a form of a hot hatch. And or maybe, Kevin, it was you that was saying that that's kind of what we think, or what you think should come back. Here it is. I found it, up 156% this year. And when you get a 4-door hot hatch that's got 6 inches of ground clearance, it's not like it's high off the ground. That's what that Ferrari looked like it had as well. Maybe slightly stretched a little bit. It's the same car, just more expensive. And obviously people are buying them.
And why aren't people going? Why aren't we going and looking at the hot hatches of the '90s and early 2000s of when Volkswagen had a Corrado, we had a Isuzu, we had all these hot hatches that were super fast. In Europe, they were huge. I mean, Aaron used to live over there. What do they call Citroen or whatever,
Yeah,
Renault, Chloe. All these
Yep.
cars had these, super fast hot hatches.
All
these
manuals
manufactured.
too, huh?
Yeah,
Yep,
they were all
everything.
manuals.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the heyday of like fast cars, small. Why is it that we have to? Is it just because we're American now that we have to have these big ass cars, especially when we're talking about
Well,
carbon footprint?
Good
Look,
marketing.
yeah. No, well, not only that, it's called tax breaks. If you're giving tax breaks for vehicles over 6,000 pounds, what the fuck you think they're going to build?
Right. Yeah.
They're going to build 6,000 plus pound vehicles. We've got trucks.
When you're saying tax breaks, you're saying that for a business though, because a business gets a tax break for a car that's over
Right.
6,000 pounds, but
Right.
an individual
Yeah,
does not get. And I mean, and how many people, as a business owner myself, how many people are you seeing driving G wagons? Yeah, there's a few, but most of them are pickup trucks, vans.
and they just keep getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
You can't even
I'm
fit
really
them in a
surprised.
standard parking space at this point.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
reason for that.
The pickup trucks are fucking massive, but I'm really surprised, honestly, if that the Porsche Cayenne has not hit the 6,000 pound mark. It's pretty freaking close as it is.
Well, they want to
isn't
keep
it?
it performance. That's why they won't. Porsche probably won't let it do that.
I agree with that, Aaron. But it's like 5,500 or 5,600 pounds. And would it not open up a different market or a different buyer if it could barely clips that 6,000 pound mark?
I mean, maybe. I don't see it as a work vehicle, but I mean,
No.
I agree, but neither is a G-Wagon.
Yeah, that's true.
And Aaron, I will argue with you because
he's
you say
hopped
Porsche
up on Red Bull. That's why.
Because you talk about Porsche with performance, they're building 4-cylinder Micons and they're building all these other bullshit cars that they're not we got away from that whole Porsche power to weight ratio. When you're building a 4-cylinder car, you're building a Cayenne base model. That's now we're talking about
commuter
profit line.
Yeah.
And they need the money from
Absolutely.
soccer moms to build the GT3 RS or to build and even the Taycan. I mean, yeah, the turbo was great, but some of their other ones aren't the best cars. And Aaron, I know you guys know a lot about these numbers. Isn't the SUV market for Porsche, isn't that a lot of where the profit comes from?
Yeah, it's still pretty heavy. I mean, if not all of it, I would say. I mean, they're just pushing out cars left and right. I forgot. It escapes me what the number was, but it's a pretty insane number.
So do you think that Porsche has become just like Enzo, where he said he built road cars just so he can race? Porsche builds SUVs just so they can build GT3?
I mean, I think that's always. I mean, that's what they did to begin with, and I think they're continuing to survive off it. But I don't know that they're really doing that. That's kind of we spiral into a topic similar because if they really were going to build GT3s and RSs and STs and all that, then they would have unlimited allocations. That's what they would do.
And they would just make the car like a Ferrari. It would be $600,000 car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't, they still wouldn't fill. Like they still would probably have the same amount of cars sold if they had unlimited allocations. But and I don't think there would really be too much production wise that they would have to change to make it happen. Same thing with like if you added on PTS as a value add or something else like that, there was still something special about getting the allocation, not just it being 3 of them here and 3 of them there, and then missed promises here and there. So
and they're doing the allocations because they're not doing enough of them because they need that manpower for SUVs.
I have no idea. I don't. That's a good question. The production line is they've scaled so fast over the last few years, and then adding on how many different lines of EVs they're about to add on with Cayman and Boxster coming online outside of Taycan. So that's 4 more lines of cars, and then lines in those lines with different models. Because even though it could be software for most part, but still.
they are using the skateboard theory, right?
For some of them, I forgot, for something else recently, it wasn't the same technology.
Okay.
And I know they just changed the voltage architecture changed, and I think it was a split, so it could do fast charging.
Now,
but
even
aren't
with
they
the
also sharing that platform outside of Porsche? Isn't that the same platform being shared
I
with
would assume it's the
VW
same
and
thing
Audi?
with Audi, and I would assume it's the exact same platform.
yeah, they're still going that route when our friends that work at dealerships say they can't even sell a Taycan. They're discounting the shit out of these Taycans. Why are they still? And now that goes to our other subject where we were talking about everything that we have talked about in past podcasts of how the EV market's dying and the numbers are soft. Porsche is still going towards this EV, or do you see it, Aaron? I know you guys have talked a lot about this. Do you see that the EV market is dying a little bit? Because didn't they kind of went a different route a little bit?
Yeah, they keep talking about these e-fuels, and hopefully it happens. I'd assume
There's that
if they
buzz
wouldn't
has
be
kind of gone away. Right?
Kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
they still have the refinery in Chile. They have the refinery in Bay City, Texas. That's supposed to be built this year. That's 200 million gallons of e-fuel. That's more than enough to test it out and see if it works. There's no type of.
Right.
It would make more sense to go that direction and go zero emissions there than it would EVs, except for the fact that Europe is pushed so hard to have the zero emissions come from the EVs. I don't know why.
Yeah, but also I think as we've discussed a little bit, I don't know if you all have hit on it, Aaron, but the hydrogen fuel type stuff that you can simply pour into a standard engine and not have to change anything. I think that makes much more sense. I don't know if the biofuels that Porsche is pushing involves, software changes. But I think that it does not.
Any car can use it. Any car can use it. Yeah.
All right, so I think that's brilliant. I think that's the way to go. Much cheaper in the long run and easier for us consumers to adapt to. So that's a great route, hydrogen fuel route. But I think you agree, Aaron, and I know that the three of us agree, Matt as well, that the all electric mentality that Europe has is completely bogus and just not something that will work here in America. And I've gone on many tirades about how it will never work for me. So I won't belabor that point, but it's I'm glad to hear that they're still continuing with the
they're always going to have
stuff.
a hybrid model. They're not, and then the 911 won't be. Well, it's coming to be hybrid, but the GT cars won't be anything like that for a while. Maybe the TRS, we'll see. So they're still going to make petrol powered cars. It's not like it's going to go EV next year.
Well, we could talk about the EVs, kind of the sales plummeting, but really what the big winner is the hybrids. Those
I think so.
sales are all up across the board here for every manufacturer. So I think, we pointed that out a number of times in our past podcasts as far as Casey would say, fuck the EVs. But I think a lot of people are falling in line and realizing that it's not everything is cracked up to be.
Well, yeah, and it's a throwaway thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
But even if you go to what we were talking about earlier, as far as the tires, if I have to put 4 sets of tires on my EV a year, what's that saving?
Yeah, not a damn thing. And I think we all go back to what is this going to cost us daily? So you're right, in the tire or whatever additional tax, they're looking at additional taxes on these things because you're not purchasing gas and paying that tax. But I think it's really telling is what you said, James, is the auto article I sit down about the fact that the automakers are all selling all the hybrids at a much higher rate than anything else. We agree that on here it makes much more sense to take something that already works, a combustion engine on gasoline, and just extend that range. It does not make sense for most people outside of the major cities, which we could go through and name, and they work great in the major city where you don't have to go anywhere. But for the rest of us out here, a hybrid makes much more sense. Well, and I'll get behind a hybrid. I will I hope to maybe own one day. It's fine.
We need our sound effect for that. Yay!
Yeah, there you go. But all electric outside of, again, maybe my wife, who drives to one location, the same location every day, and it's right down the road. You got to still own an ICE engine.
We don't like change. Face fact. Most people don't like change. So ripping off a Band-Aid when the government says we're switching everything over and that's it, people don't like that. People don't like to be told what to do. And we like to dip our toes and transition into it. And the hybrid's a perfect transition. It's the best of both worlds.
And then you get to say that you have sort of an EV. So you get to claim that title. And that's the status symbol these days. Plus you're saving the earth a little bit at a time.
You can go your 8 miles in EV mode, right?
Yeah. I think
but
Porsche's like 20 now, 30 now.
When you're sitting in the Chick-fil-A line for lunch, you're using your electric motor.
Yeah.
True.
And I think this leads actually into one of the other topics we have that I sent you about the garage ruining someone's car, because I think a lot of these EV vehicles, there's only a technician at a dealer can work on them because it's so computer based. We all, I think, Aaron, you included, like to have this mechanical aspect of our vehicles where we, in theory at least, James, could go to our garage and change the oil. We can work on this stuff. And then you have these goobers who, you've got a lot of people out there that can't turn a wrench. And I understand why. But you have these shops that you supposedly trust, especially a dealer, and you take your car to it and they return you a shit bag.
So what we're talking about is a gentleman took a car to the Subaru dealer in Connecticut. And in fact, it's funny because my manager at my work actually knows this dealership. And he said they've always been a shady dealership that from when he remembers. Now he hasn't lived there in 10 years, but
the article calls it out by name. Do we want to call it out by name?
I don't care. It's Dan Perkins Subaru of Milford, Connecticut. So some kids decided to learn. And the guy said, do not drive my car. Do not wash my car because I have ceramic coat on it and I don't want any swirls. Brand new car. Went there for his first free oil change. Now, I'm going to pause there because I've had free oil changes and I still don't take it to dealership.
That's right.
Because normally I have to drive a long ways to find that good deal at a dealership. I.e. my GT3 I just bought is in Clearwater, which is like an hour away. So I don't care that I get what Porsche's not giving me nothing for free, but but my Toyota, I'm not driving there. So anyways, they gave it to the kid. They did an oil change, burned his clutch out.
He decided he wanted to learn how to drive a manual on this customer's car.
Yep, burned the clutch out and also ran it through
the front.
Because they damaged the front with the license plate because I guess they stalled it and decided to run it through the car wash. And then I think the main issue is they got a lot of other people to hide it. Instead of just...
So they cleaned the interior to hide it, right? And then they had multiple techs working on the car to mask that it was driven. So the guy shows up, finds all these paint swirls, his license plate all messed up, his front end messed up, and the burnt out clutch, and the gears ground down to dust.
To nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I think this is a common problem. I'm a big fan of Obsessed Garage, and I know a lot of people can't handle Matt Mormon's attitude, which I find completely fascinating, and I'm actually a fan. But, he has these hang tags that talk about, like, do not, wash my car. And so my wife took my Cayenne to have, what did it have done? An alignment done.
Make it up.
There was just an alignment, but it came back. I always say, don't wash my car, please. She didn't say that. I didn't tell her. They washed the car. Well, first off, they didn't fully wash the car. It was a really shit job. And number two, those guys are out there with the same bucket of water that they washed 14 other cars with.
No, they're up there with a pressure hose, the pressure thing like this close to your paint.
There you go.
Your paint cracking your clear coat.
Yes.
That's what they're doing. Oh, instead of just I'm gonna,
Exactly right. And it just goes, there are some good dealers out there that maybe can do quality work, but this is why I learned how to work on my own car. And this is why I will one day have an alignment rack in my own garage so I can do my own alignments. And then I will forever not have to send my car
But
out.
Casey, you're not going to work on your own car if it's under warranty. Let's be honest.
I would. Absolutely, I would. Absolutely, I would.
So you would change if something happened to your car and it was broken and it's free, because say, for instance, we'll say the alternator.
Alternator, absolutely. If it was like one of the BMW...
You're going to spend $1,000 on $2,000 just for the parts on a Cayenne, I call bullshit. On your Cayenne alternator to put it in when it's free?
Yes. Mark, I'm not a new car buyer.
For those listeners that can't see my face on Spotify.
Okay, get this.
Looks pretty sus.
So when I bought my 911, I got free service on it. And I bought a warranty.
That's service. We're not talking about service. That's an oil change. I'm talking about your shit breaks. Something breaks on the car.
All right. So my cars typically don't break because I do things ahead of schedule. And yes, I would.
And they don't run, apparently.
It runs.
It's ahead of schedule.
That was
so
hurtful.
Aaron, do you you have a Cayenne? I know you have a CPO Cayenne. Do you take it to the dealership?
I did. I took it in for something. What was it? The headlight was doing something weird and it ended up being a stepper motor, and then like the door wasn't locking. And I did take it to them because it ended up being like $5,000 or $6,000.
And I will say, when you're dealing with Porsche dealers, I think you would. It's not dealing with a Subaru dealer or a Ford dealer or Chevy dealer. So there is quite a bit difference. I mean, these guys are getting paid well over $100,000 to work on a car.
And I do have a friend that is the garage manager at the McLaren dealer in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I asked him about that question, and it's McLaren, whatever, but his attitude was at the highest level of respect for customers' cars. They only drive them when completely necessary. They do what the owners ask. And I believe him. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I believe them. I do think there are good dealers and good service stations. But at the end of the day, I'm changing my own brake fluid. I'm doing all this work that I can. And if it was an alternator, yes, I'm going to change it myself. If it was a BMW and all the head studs need to be changed, you're right. I might have the dealer do that. But it does make me nervous. It does.
And I think the liability of driving one of our cars or McLaren,
very different.
Even for, I think, garage policy insurance, it's a lot different than driving a Subaru, because let's face it, you could buy a $30,000, $40,000 Subaru or Honda or something like that. So I think when you're buying those types of cars, I don't see too many guys test driving Ferraris or test driving.
Yeah.
But a Subaru that just happened that made the article. And it's funny when I talk to, because it's like right next door to his hometown, he knew the dealership and he did have a Subaru WRX at one point. So that's why I said, hey, did you get your car from them?
The one thing that I would say about that is no one ever talks about somebody doing a good job. We only talk and bitch about people screwing things up.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be good dealerships out there. There's going to be dealerships out there on the Porsche side that don't do markups. There's going to be, and that's just not what Porsche. There's
and
good
I'm
dealerships.
Sure there was a lot of middle-aged women that brought in their Subaru Forester for service, and no one, test drove that.
It's quite a demographic.
That's the most I'll say about it.
We're pretty focused on cars tonight. How about a Casey update on your car?
I know that you all continue to do this because you're picking at me. Kevin, as he lowers his head, he knows why. Listen, the car is on the mend. There's been some struggles. The cam
I mean,
timing,
I didn't know why you just didn't do this shit yourself. I mean, you should have just rebuilt the whole motor yourself, right? I mean, isn't that what you said to Aaron and James?
Was it under warranty?
Yes.
this is
It wasn't under warranty.
Listen, I bought a warranty and it's all been voided. No, it's been a long struggle with this car. My understanding, how about I say that? My understanding is that the cam timing has been figured out. This 3D printed intake has had an issue. The stock intake is being put back on. It's back on the lift. It should be back up and running by this weekend. That is what I've been told, and that's what I have to go by.
Of course. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Do you have an ETA at this point?
So what I'm told is that when the car, okay. So there were several parts that were completely custom, right? The cans were completely custom. This intake is 3D printed. It went through 8 iterations before it was put on the car. This mishap happened. There was a backfire.
I get it.
Backfire through the intake. The intake was tested for vacuum deflection, but he did not have a way to test positive pressure deflection. And so when this backfire happened, that's positive deflection, and it failed. It failed. This is
Look, the guy's a good builder. You don't have to go into your whole story. He's a good builder. He knows what he's doing. We just want you to get your car back so you can drive.
Yeah, me too.
Because
we got my rally's coming up.
your rally coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kevin, Casey needs to borrow your OBD so he can do some more work on it himself.
Listen, I've got a PWIS, all right. So I've got this stuff handled. But no, it should be. It's close. When the stock intake manifolds and center section go back on, it will be done. The engine's going back in, as I said, over the next day or so, and it should be on the dyno by this weekend.
So what are the gains supposed to be for the cams and the intake? Like, was it like just mid range or?
The intake is usually this one. All right, so this goes back to a lot of the discussion that we'll have eventually when I get the car back and do like a review.
We're waiting for this, Aaron, because we don't know how much all this money that he spent on it. So we're just going to keep that. What it's going to actually do, because we don't know yet. But he could have had a GT3 car already for just the motor. This
is true, and this was the decision that I made and was discussed with Flat Six about what I wanted, what I could do otherwise. I chose to go with the Flat Six build because I wanted to completely customize my version of the GT3.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And because we know that the suspension components are easily purchased to make it a GT3 suspension, the engine is the true differentiator, and I've chosen to go a different route. I believe still in the build that I'm getting, and that it will be somewhat staged now because of the issues, but I'm stoked. It has taken much longer than anyone had anticipated, but it's back on track to my understanding, and that it should be very soon.
And the good thing is the guys, he communicates with you on a daily basis.
And I'll go into this more when the car gets back and I do like a full review. The communication above and everything else has been on point. We're talking nearly every day, nearly every step that he takes. I get pictures, I get video, I get communication, phone calls, text messages, etc. So at the very least, I'm at least know everything that's happening, good or bad. So
cool.
What are you going to do at that point, right? Shit happens.
Well, you can't ask for more. You know,
no.
Any of these cars, when you start messing around with them in customizing them, you're always going to run into issues. Of course.
And part of this was I asked him to push the envelope with this because I wanted something specific. I asked him, to go further than he's gone before with this intake design, which was started arguably before I asked for it. But this is what I asked for. And
no, it's all your fault. It's not his fault. We know this. We know this.
What's your horsepower goal, or what are your goals for the motor?
Give us the juice.
The goals that were discussed and that I had was 450 horsepower. The what it ends up with, I don't know. Because the crank that I originally wanted, I did not get because he uses a NASCAR builder. That builder could not get it done in the time frame. Now that all this other bullshit's happened, like it could have been done, but the original timeline, it could not have been done. So instead of a 4.3 or a 4.4, I'm getting a 4.1. But the horsepower goals are still in that same range.
And what is your stock? 350 or
370?
355. Okay.
So
it's a lot of money for 50 extra horsepower. That's Porsche for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you mean 100 extra horsepower? That's what I meant.
Oh, it's 100?
No,
You said,
Yeah. 450.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
350 to 450.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or
So, hey,
355
I
to
know
450.
we're getting close on time, but since we have Aaron as a guest, Aaron, I want you to go into great detail of what P-car. This is your time to shine.
Now's
What
my time to
P-car P-car talk is, how it started. Kind of like you gave me a little. Let me get on my
rundown.
soapbox. Yeah, get and elaborate some. Don't just.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we do.
Because
Well,
we've
pretty
been,
much it. Talk about Porsches.
listening since like day one. All of us have been members.
Thank you for that. Thanks for the support.
Used to
I've listened
shout
to one
out-
episode.
You used to shout out the normal members' names, which I was one, but no longer. I've dropped down the totem pole.
Well, I mean, we could bring it back, but I didn't know how much longer that segment was going to get, so I was trying to
That's
to
true.
cut it down.
That's true.
So, eventually, how it started was I was listening to a bunch of podcasts during my work time, and there wasn't anything about Porsches that I could find that I wanted to listen to except Spike. And then Spike and Zuckerman would talk about Eminem's, bring on comedy people, do kind of what his focus is I wanted it to be. So I kind of had the concept. I had tried other podcasts before, like different stuff, not Porsche or anything like that. So I had some of the equipment already, so that wasn't really a barrier. And I had just got my 997.1 C2. I was like, well, I got the water cooled area covered. And then I'd gone to Cars and Coffee at Reeves for a few times. That's a dealership in Tampa, formerly Reeves, now Morgan. That's where I met Mike. And then Mike and I were not really friends at first because I had driven a BMW a bunch. I just didn't drive my C2. I had an E36 M3 that I would just drive and bomb around in, go to Cars and Coffee.
Nothing wrong
So we
with
eventually
that.
started to talk, and we figured out that he was in the Air Force, I was in the Air Force around the same time, so we had a little bit of relatability there. And he had 964 at the time, or just the 964. He just picked it up maybe a few months before then. Just got his speed lines on it, had the top end rebuild, all that sort of thing before he was ready to bring it out. So we kind of talked for probably a month or so. I ended up going to Rensport, came back, and I was like, that's when I started the Instagram for P-Car Talk. I was just like, oh, I'll just start the Instagram. So I started posting. I was like, called Mike. I was like, hey, how serious do you want to do a podcast? Because like I understood from my point, I was like, well, I got the water cooled side, but I don't know much about the air cooled side. Mike's got that covered. So we'd meet at 50-50, the two halves, and make it work from knowledge perspective. He'd probably know some stuff I didn't, and I'd probably fill in the gaps there. As long as we were willing to participate and, not call ourselves experts and kind of just go at it and then do researches. And then that's kind of how we started it, was Sean Benton and other folks kind of doing the internet research and not really getting to know them yet. So that was the approach. And then I also had the bigger thing would be having a club and having stuff that values the club. That's how the drive started as well.
So was the club first, or was the podcast first?
Podcast was first.
Okay.
And then within that, I was like, well, it would kind of be neat to have something of a club, because we didn't like what not PCA is bad, but now we're anti-PCA, but we might be a little bit of that, just because it just doesn't fit our style, the way that we do things. The age group is normally a little bit older than we are for the most part, for the majority, and so that was also another reason to like, hey, if we can hang out with some like-minded people and people are willing to support us, we'd be able to also go to events, and that's why we started going to so many things from the get-go, from racing to all the different shows that are starting to pop up, like Checked It Out and other things. And then do those, lug on the equipment, bring in, and then get some guests on. But that's pretty much the genesis of it. It was, I wanted to do it. I needed somebody in the air-cooled world, and that was Mike. And then I said, well, I also know that we need like 3 or 4 episodes. We got those done and dropped them, and then we actually got listens. And the very first, we knew it was kind of not really taking on its own thing, but it kind of weird was we went to DRT for the first time. And I'm walking up to DRT. I'm walking in a little store area. All of a sudden, this person just like pops up in front of me. He's like, and it was Jaime. He's like, "Hey man, are you Peacock Talk?" And he was just super excited. It's like, "Oh, I love Peacock. You got to meet Al. You got to meet this person." I was like, "Okay, well," I was like, "We just talk about Porsches. This is really weird." And that's how we got to know the DRT guys and start going that direction. And that's how we started meeting a bunch of different people from there. And then we figured out, well, this is kind of something we like doing. And we knew if we could be consistent, and we had been consistent up to this year, I think we kind of started doing more breaks, but it was every week.
And you guys have had a lot of guests on too, correct?
Yeah. We've had everybody from a bunch of like some factory driver. We had Patrick Long on.
That was a cool episode too. Yeah, I like that one.
I really wish we had talked to Daniel Armbruster, that was just CEO of Motorsports, a little bit longer, because he seemed like he was pretty interesting dude for being an engineer and growing up in Germany, and that just interests me. I mean, he did the RS Spider, which is now a Taycan, essentially.
Yeah, so you guys done that from to artists to drivers to, I mean, the whole facet, correct?
Anybody can. There's still a bunch of people that we haven't got on that we've been chasing. Rod Emery for like, I don't know, 5 years now. See Rod, say hi. Yeah, cool. See Rod, say hi. Yeah, sure. See Rod.
And then you guys started to do a drive, and that's how we met. So what led you guys to do the drive?
The drive is what I felt like the members I didn't feel like there was value, to be honest, outside like the decals and things like that, and the membership card that we kind of started, but there was a lot of upkeep. And then I wasn't seeing value in myself. So I was like, I don't see how a member would be seeing value. So let's do something where, one, we could meet in person, because that'd be something to be cool.
Well, I did get my signed photo of Mike. He shipped that out free of charge.
Oh, did it? You put that right next to like a David Hasselhoff picture too. Just
Okay. But, so you did your drive. Okay.
So we did the drive. Well, first of all, we didn't think anybody was going to sign up for the drive. So the fact that first year anybody ever signed up, that was something. I wish I had organized that first one a little bit better, but that's just first time figuring it out. I'd been to Helen a ton of times, from Selwo for the Volkswagen stuff, because I had a Mark IV GTI back in the day. So I liked the area, and I knew a decent amount about it. Been there with my wife, Kristen, a ton of times. So that we did that. And then after we figured out it was the thing, we continued on the next couple of times to then grow the drive. And then we started selling it out that third year. Then we sold out or close.
Yeah. And there's still a wait list on each year, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely, and then this year was crazy.
What point did you start the Patreon?
I switched that from the website because there's a lot of things in the back end, from shipping, keeping up with that, automatic renewals and things that happen.
It was all very confusing originally.
Yeah, there was a lot of things where Patreon was going to button things up. The only reason we resisted is because there's a percentage that comes out on the back end for all the management.
Sure.
But that makes it easier. I tried to pare it down to a couple things, because at first we were trying to do like $1, $10, like really get a support level where anybody could support. But from the numbers, you could see where it didn't really matter. There's kind of a price point, 2 price points that make sense, and then kind of continued on from there. But we haven't really, marketed heavily enough, in my opinion. We've just been trying to grow it as organic kind of as possible. And I'm working on a couple things locally. Like I'm going to just start doing, like you did, James. So if you came to our Cars and Coffee that we're doing the Porsche on Central, I've shipped these out, but I have silicone bracelets now for all the P-Car Club members. Come to it, free coffee.
Nice.
So
cool.
So that's
but then you guys do,
that was fun.
You guys with the
and
drive.
We do giveaways every month too. That's something that nobody's been doing. And that's also a task of finding people wanting to sponsor things, and like Dave from Sonda Works and watches. Right, we gave away. I just remembered this. We IMSA rain tires. That was some of the giveaways that we've done. Like it's been.
Didn't you just give away a stuffed?
The plushie
dinosaur.
Yeah, Rexy. Yeah, I did. He's away. Yeah, he's away, but I know he has it.
I mean, you've given and I think almost every member has usually gotten something.
Yeah, I keep track.
Because
I have 7 Sonderworks toolkits that I've won from P-Car Talk.
The fact that you won that at the drive made that even better.
Hey, I won a toolkit on a drive too that we just went on. So you guys are always giving away good prizes as well. I mean, it's not just what did we get? Those magazines that we got at that one thing.
The Porsche original parts magazines.
Yeah, it's not that. Yes. I mean, these guys are giving away high-end stuff. Anywhere from
limited edition stuff,
models and watches. It just, I mean, it's everything that I can find. I normally go try to be good about finding something I'd want. I know the plushie might not be everybody's forte, but hey, winning is winning, right, Casey?
He loved it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can't go buy one. That's
so you guys.
He actually bought 50 of them to put on his dashboard.
Nice. Like the duckies
just
for
like
Jeeps.
the Jeep guys, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go. That's going to start handing them out.
Yes.
He can't stand himself. He's got to go. There it is.
Still in their effort. Don't break that seal.
It's not broken. You can hear it.
Live on the podcast, Casey opens it.
Tune in.
So you guys do giveaways, and you guys do usually it's a weekly podcast. And when does that come out?
Every Thursday, 6 a.m. I've been doing it differently now, so I've been releasing on Thursdays or Wednesday nights. Thank you to anybody that's a club member on Patreon, and then for anybody that's not, it's on Mondays. There might be a video component coming back to it for you guys, just inside baseball. So.
Cool. How has the part going on the podcast, and then the second part going for members on Patreon? How's that going? Has there been any feedback?
I can't really track that, to be honest. There's been more comments and things. I think there's been more engagement that way.
That's cool.
That I'm seeing in DMs and outside of just Patreon. So I know that. As far as like downloads, I know what the membership is, so I know what it would be like, but I can't track it because it goes outside of it. But for the most part, I haven't seen anything like go down because of people not getting the secret sauce and getting the extra stuff. But I also thought that was a value add, another value add we weren't doing initially, and maybe we are a little bit more raw and talk about things, and we seem to always have a good 30-minute session or more. And I'm probably going to try to bring back live streams as well.
And then you have another passion project, correct?
Oh, I do. Yeah. So I randomly started Metzger's Only just because I just have a Metzger, and I figured that would be something to do on like a million other Instagrams I have. And this one's actually getting some traction. And
you got quite a bit of traction on that.
It's taken off.
And I've gotten tons of different people that subscribed. I was like, okay, well, that's new. And I think you have offers and to drive cars. I can go drive a 4.0.
How many?
Apparently. So somebody's like,
how many? You guys have what? 30,000 plus in not even a year.
31 and a half, I think. Yeah.
So you're doing drive too? Tell us a little bit
Oh
more
yeah,
of that.
that's true. I'm doing another drive because why not? Why not do 2 drives?
I mean, we only have 30 only 30 listeners, but I mean, hey,
That's
you know,
fine.
any bit,
Hey, somebody. We'll get there.
we'll put this on repeat in
Nice.
2 years, and then
So maybe like, we have how many? Yeah, because Mike just made a comment on that thing on the post I made on the Instagram where we didn't have GT cars yet. So yeah, there will be a look back for sure.
yeah.
So for the Metzger's drive, it's going to be the same place I'm doing Varn at, just different time of year. It's going to be end of August. It's smaller. It's only 20 people. Same leaders are coming in, different roads, different restaurant. I've gotten promises from a bunch of different people they really can't commit to being there. So we'll see if they show up or not.
What has your like sign up been? Or have you
It's
done
been
it yet?
slow.
Yeah.
It's been slow. I've been trying. I had to lock everything down a couple
Is
months
it still
back.
open? Can people still
Yeah,
sign
it's
up?
still open. Yeah, there's still spots.
Well, and
My
So if
dad's
you have
going.
a-
That's cool.
as you know,
If
Aaron,
you have a
'cause
Metzger,
Yeah, if you have a Metzger, so anything that's got a Metzger engine, that'd be a 2008 GT3 996 turbos that'd be before that. Anything with a Metzger engine, just look at Metzger, you'll figure it out. It's too spread out to be specific about it.
yeah, and
But
Aaron,
you'll know.
You know, because you've helped a lot of the little rally I'm putting together. It's hard to get people to jump in on that stuff.
And it's I think partly it's marketing because I mean, if they don't see it, they can't know how good it's going to be. Secondly, you're coming in cold for a lot of these. I mean, I've talked to so many people and they're like, well, I live here. I'm like, well, I'm driving 10 hours. So that's like, once you start having the conversations, start having the objections, and then you start posting and you go, well, I'm doing this, this, and this. And you start hitting those objections.
It's almost, I'm sure you saw this. I'm sure you saw this in Farron too, but people want to see like, oh, it succeeded one year and it was fun.
Yeah.
I'll show up.
All you have
year.
to do, right? All you have to do is get the FOMO going because
I will.
it.
100%. Because I know there's a bunch of people like, well, I live in, where do you live in? Like Connecticut, but he's got 5 cars. Like, you could come do this.
That's right.
But there's a couple people that have been reaching out. He reached out. He's like, oh yeah, I think I might come down. And he sent me a video on Instagram and it was showing me his, I think it's 3RS. And I watched it go by. I was cool. And I noticed what he was driving. And he was driving a CGT. I was like, oh, you're driving your CGT while filming your 3RS. Okay, that's cool. And he said he'd be by as long as it works out. No, he's having a good time.
Yeah,
and that's how your first one started. I mean, I think there was 6 of us. I was one of those.
So, that's my biggest thing too. Like I knew if I don't do it because I think it's going to be small, it'll never happen. And if I do it and just if it's 6 people, 8 people,
then they have a fucking great time. Exactly right.
They will.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not your first rodeo either. So you're able to go in there and go, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I can expect. I've ticked all the boxes. Everything is set up. And now let's just go have a good time.
It really makes it easier because it's not a big party. So getting in anywhere is not going to be crazy. Right. I don't need as many venue spaces or a large space. I just need private, bartender, that sort of thing. I know that the strings to pull to make it something.
And just to let you guys know too, I mean, hey, it's the same in my aspect. I have an online business that is very successful, that I've been doing it for 14 years now. And I had thought, well, hey, all I have to do is just copy exactly everything. And I hit the switch, but I didn't realize that all the stuff that I don't want to do now, I did back then, i.e. forums, Facebook, marketing. I thought if I just put the stuff in, because it's simple, I sit back and wait for the money to come in, and it has not happened. So
you shoot the photo of your feet, put it up on your OnlyFans, and the money rolls in.
No, see, and that's yes.
And it's absolutely, there's so much legwork that, about these rallies or gatherings or whatever that I didn't realize. And Aaron has obviously, like I said, helped me immensely in getting this organized. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And, Farron was a, pay one price. and everything's taken care of, which I think is freaking awesome. So much so that I implemented that to where hopefully people, when they show up, they don't have to bring out their wallet at all. It's all there. And that was all your idea. And I think it's phenomenal. And it really made Farron a lot of fun. I missed the first one. I think apparently I was on the second one, or
No, you're on a third one.
third one.
Third. We started the third.
Okay. So on the third one,
This
and it was
one's gonna be the fifth one then.
It was a buttoned up machine. It was great.
Well,
Yeah.
I think what's cool is that they're
The one
at
place
this
made
point,
sense too. Like the one place to lodge at, and then kind of make it a
Home
single
base.
focal point. I think that
yeah.
that sells it.
And the thing is there's, at this point there are a lot of rallies out there. You can
There are.
go
You got to be
every
different.
weekend, but it is finding something a little bit different, be it the single location, be it a smaller group, be
The
it
people.
a certain amount of
The
routes,
people in general.
The people.
right? Be it the people, be it specific cars, or just having hired leaders. I mean, I think that right there is probably
Clutch.
because everyone who is showing up is going to have a good time because they don't have the additional pressure of leading.
Kevin doesn't have to lead. Yep.
Right.
That was
And we
that was
don't-
the sole reason. I was like, you know what?
And for me, we don't have to get lost.
Well, that and they also are very communicative to themselves. And like there was a lot of
Yes.
things that were happening that I was like, okay, this happened, or they know where to
Yeah.
park, or they're
And
always
these guys are professionals.
remember.
That's
Yeah.
what
Talk
they do.
about
They
pro.
do it.
Yeah.
Right.
They were pro.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what he
cool stuff.
does. I mean, that's his
Mhm.
that's his job. He leads cars, not just Porsche, but McLaren's, all kinds of
Yeah,
different
everything.
groups. So
We
mean,
should try to
they're
get him on here. He'd probably be a good guest about that sort of
Yeah,
thing
Josh.
too.
Well, now that
Yeah.
we broke the seal.
Yeah.
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 I'll text him if you guys want.
So yeah, I mean, well, good. I'm glad you've started the new passion project. Hopefully, it will take off. I know it takes time. I'm glad you were able to come in short notice. I
for
thought,
having
you know
me.
what, this would be fun.
That's
and
fun.
For the audience, James, in case you did not know this, it was more
Sure.
of a, hey, let's see who I got.
Kevin's
We
in
thought we were
doing
just-
surprises recently.
No kidding.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just sent,
Including
I
my
sent James.
Wham album.
I just sent James the Wham album. That's his favorite
Yes, he
artist.
did.
So in case you guys
That's
did
cool.
not know that, so
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
it's not. But
You have to give a little backstory,
I
Kevin,
think it is.
before.
No, it is your favorite. It doesn't fucking matter. It's your favorite.
so
It's a little backstory.
I don't even know what the backstory is, but I'm going to tell you guys. I love Wham personally, and I'm not afraid to say it. I think it's a good, feel good like group from
Yep.
the '80s.
Yep.
Could give a shit less of what people think. I love the like. I just remember, and the reason why I like the song is from Zoolander when they're spraying themselves with gasoline, doing "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." It's just a fucking feel good song. And look, you guys are all laughing because you guys know it's a good song.
That's good.
Yeah.
And James is an avid vinyl collector. So he's an avid collector. He listens to jazz. And James,
Shit you don't
we
know.
we were in a car, and I got tired of listening to his, in my opinion, bullshit music that I've never heard of. And I said, can we put something else on? And James goes, well, what do you want to put on? And I was like, I don't know, put on some fucking Wham or something. And I thought he was going to lose his shit because I knew he didn't think I was going to say Wham. And I was like, put on some Wham. And he looked at me like, out of all the artists, that's the one. Either, or maybe I had access to it
But-
and I put it on.
Yeah, but now it's a running theme. That's
It
you
is.
know we're in Monterey, and cranking Wham and watching Dave dance to it, right?
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and he had the moves. So I mean, yes. And I think we were in
Like Jagger.
Tennessee, and we went to the music store and we were looking for Wham. And I go to often a lot of, and it's just a joke. So it just released. They did a reprint of it, and I think James, you were making fun of it, and I was like, yes,
I was.
I know
Yes.
I'm going to get it. I mean, I sent it to your work because I didn't want anyone stealing it. Not that he lives in a bad neighborhood, but
no.
I sent it.
So the best thing is I get this package today. I never get packages at the office, and it's an album. It's shaped like an album. I know. It's like, fuck.
So you knew it
What
was
did
an
I
album.
do? Yes.
It had to
Okay.
be, right?
And I'm like, what did I do? What did I do here? Right. And I open it up and it says, it's a gift for you. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, and then it's from Kevin. It's
Well, when you saw the wham, you're like, this is from Kevin.
no, well, I didn't see the album. I saw the gift card, right? A gift for you. And it said, wake me up before you go. And I was like, all right, you got me. You got me good.
And
But everyone in the office came up and they're like, oh my God, I love that album.
See? And I told James, because he had I said, that's what friends are for. We're for,
Absolutely.
hey. And that's how we all met.
Yeah, just like we showed up in Nashville for Casey's birthday.
Right.
This may not be as a big of an event, but just the thought alone.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
And one last 80s hit. I bought No Man's Land, right? I told you all I ordered it during the show. Let me tell you, there is nothing more 80s than that fucking movie. But the cars are beautiful. Charlie Sheen is so young. The acting is subpar, but it's so 80s, right? Like, it screams 80s. The opening music is so techno, it's bizarre, but it's so good. It was I watched it, Ashley was out Friday or Saturday night, so I watched it here by myself. It was great. I loved it. And I can't wait for my... I can't wait for my shirt. Can't wait for my shirt.
Well, Casey, you need to ship that out to each one of us. We'll just pass it along so we can all watch it.
I'll do it.
I don't have a DVD player.
What the fuck?
I'll let
you
you
have a
borrow
computer?
mine. I have one.
Yeah.
You
have a little party.
I even told Aaron
Watch
about
party.
it. I said, Aaron, I showed Aaron it. So we're all friends, naturally. I showed Aaron it. Did you finish watching it too, Aaron?
I watched it before. I've watched it.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah. I didn't watch it again now.
Oh, no. Okay. So, yeah, it's just something that we do.
It's great. It really was such a good, throwback 80s movie that was just you can hear it and you're just like, oh, this is 1989 right here. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. So,
it's cool.
Well, awesome, guys.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
I'll send it to you.
Nope.
Don't worry. I'll send it to you.
I'm ready.
You should.
He only has
the
Betamax.
DVD player
I think he only
out.
has Betamax.
No.
Laserdisc.
Big disc, Laserdisc.
Laserdisc, yeah.
Hey, you can't compete with that image quality.
Well, this is Blu-ray, so it maybe can compete. I'll send it.
I will pull the DVD player out of storage and hook it up.
Here you go.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, it's been this is actually I think our longest podcast that we had. So an hour and 37 minutes. Yep. So he's gonna have. Yep, setting a record. So as you guys know, hey, please, what does he say? Like share,
and
subscribe, leave comments.
Yeah.
Check out whiskey watchesandwheels.com and something else, but I'm sure
all
he'll
the podcast wherever
all
you
the
may
podcasts.
Listen and watch us on YouTube, subscribe, all of that. Leave comments.
The shorts are on fire. So watch the shorts.
So watch those. All right, guys.
Peace.
See ya.
Out.